I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shea. Time to track the tropics and let you know what's happening out there. Of course, we just had a holiday weekend, the 4th of July holiday weekend. Maybe it's still going on for some of you if you do have an extra day or two off of work, but we did have some action out in the tropics. In fact, something fairly significant for the U.S. We had the first landfalling tropical system for the 2025 Atlantic Basin hurricane season. That was Tropical Storm Chantal that made landfall around Litchfield Beach in South Carolina early Sunday morning. Of course, before this one, we had Tropical Storm Andrea back in June, a week, and disorganized and fairly short-lived system over the central Atlantic, so it never even got close to the U.S. Of course, the second named storm of the Atlantic Basin hurricane season, Tropical Storm Barry. That one also did not hit the U.S., but it did bring some flooding, some fairly significant flooding to parts of southeastern Mexico. So now we've had Tropical Storm Andrea, Tropical Storm Barry, and now Tropical Storm Chantal. All right, the 2025 Colorado State University prediction for this season called for 17 named storms. So far, we've had 3, so we have a long way to go to reach that. Hopefully, we won't reach it, but out of those, CSU thinking 9 will become hurricanes. So far, we've had 0 hurricanes this season and 4 major hurricanes, and of course, we haven't had that either. Average for a season would be 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. So it's been kind of a slow start to the season, but kind of starting to pick up. We've gone through the A name, the B name, the C name, and the next name on the list would be Dexter. And we'll have to wait and see if we see that developing. Right now, things are fairly quiet since Chantal has kind of fallen apart. Even though Chantal has lost tropical characteristics across the mid-Atlantic and northeastern U.S., it's still causing some problems. In fact, that remnant moisture from this system helping to produce some pretty big time downpours stretching from Salisbury to DC to Baltimore to Philadelphia all the way up to New York City. So notice the Philly area under a flood watch through July 7th around 9 a.m. And that means the potential for heavy rain, maybe as much as 2 to 4 inches of rain that will potentially lead to some flooding conditions. So we are going to be dealing with that threat for more showers and storms in this area, even through the next day or two. Models are indicating that we are going to have the potential for some showers and storms in this area, and that could lead to a flood potential. So here's a look at post-tropical cyclone Chantal. 25-mile-per-hour winds as of the latest 4 p.m. advisory, and it is tracking off to the north and east. So we are going to have the threat for that remnant moisture, bringing some rounds of rain stretching from Virginia Beach to Richmond to DC, Philadelphia, New York, and even up to Boston. Notice by 1 a.m. Tuesday, it's just east of New York City, south of Boston. It is a weak system, what's left of it at least at that point, but it will still have some moisture with it, and that remnant moisture will allow for the potential for some heavy rain and a flood threat. Our Fox weather tropical models showing that we do have some downpours, some showers and storms rolling into the northeastern U.S. from Salisbury to Philadelphia to New York up to the Boston area and even up into Portland. So even though Chantal has lost tropical characteristics, there will be the threat for more of this heavy rain that could lead to flooding. And also at the beaches, there could still be some rip current risk and higher surf. As far as elsewhere in the Atlantic Basin, the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean, the Gulf, we've still got a decent amount of that Saharan dust that keeps getting pushed off of the west coast of Africa, traveling to the west, moving across the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and then moving into the Gulf. So this will be a factor in helping to limit tropical activity as we go through the next 5 to 6 days. So I'm really not expecting a ton of action in the Atlantic Basin. So that's good news if you're about to hop on a cruise ship and enjoy a vacation. Maybe you're heading to the Bahamas. Maybe you're leaving from Fort Lauderdale or Miami and heading to a nice stop in the Bahamas. Looks like it could be a little dicey for Tuesday with a decent chance for showers and storms, 70%. Some lingering rain on Wednesday, temps in the upper 80s and isolated rain for Thursday. Heading over to Cabo, well, I think this is a wonderful choice because there's no rain expected here. Looking very nice, low to middle 80s and a good supply of sunshine with a few clouds mixing in. Cancun looking pretty good on Tuesday, but a better chance for scattered downpours and a little bit of lightning on Wednesday. Temps Tuesday through Thursday near 90 degrees, and that rain chance will drop a bit for Thursday down to 30%. As far as the rest of this month, what are we expecting as far as tropical development? Well, right now, it's looking fairly quiet for the next week, but typically we look at the northwestern Gulf, maybe the northwestern sections of the Caribbean and western Atlantic for those hot spots where we will have a slightly higher chance for development. But even then, it's still on the lower side in that possible category. However, as we jump to August, that is when the threat for these tropical systems, including the threat for hurricanes, really starts to increase for the central Atlantic, western Atlantic, for the Gulf, and for the Caribbean. So highest risk will be right along the eastern seaboard. So we'll watch there closely. But of course, just keep in mind, these systems can develop at any time, so just be ready. September, typically the peak of hurricane season, and this map shows you there's a much higher shot for multiple systems to develop, especially for the western Atlantic, and an even higher shot in the Gulf, where we kind of jump to that likely range by then. So keeping a close eye on everything. At least right now, we've gotten rid of Chantal, even though it brings still a heavy rain threat to parts of the northeast. But it is no longer a tropical system, so no active systems in the Atlantic basin now. But notice we've got a long way to go with the peak of hurricane season right around September 10th, and hurricane season not ending until November 30th. So now is the perfect time to review your hurricane plan, your emergency gear. Make sure you have what you need for you and your family. Make sure you know where your insurance papers are. Make sure they're safe from flooding, and make sure you have that hurricane emergency gear ready to go so you don't have to scramble at the last minute. Well, that will do it for your hurricane tropical update for today. Stay safe out there and enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade.